Hey, I'm Major General Retired Brian Watson. I'm the president of Army Engineers Association. We're out here during Regimental Week at Fort Leonard Wood, a gathering of the family. And one of the exciting things that we get to do during Regimental Week is bring in our industry partners and people that are out there right now in industry providing both technologies, equipment to Army engineers, and also because of who they are in industry, they're also looking at the future. So every now and then you come across a company that has reframed a problem in a way that just captures your imagination, and that is the case with AIM here. And I just want to introduce. So John, tell a little bit about the company, what's it do, and what is it that you've kind of stumbled upon that now you think is really something we can use in the engineers?
Yeah, happy to. So AIM designs a hardware and software retrofit kit. It actually packs down into a Pelican case. It's the entire kit right here. And it retrofits onto existing heavy equipment and makes it fully autonomous. So that's full level 5 autonomy without a human in the loop. We also support teleoperation with remote control, and you can still hop in as an operator and manually drive it. So you don't lose any of that capability. You wouldn't even know the system's actually there. So this kit installs in under a day and uninstalls in under an hour. So we don't cut, splice, or solder any wires. The intent is to leave the machine in the exact condition that a manual operator would expect, so that you don't disturb any operations. And some of the benefits of making this autonomous for both the civilian and government and military side is to enable near continuous, almost 24/7 capability of missions across inclement weather, in scenarios where a human wouldn't want to work, freezing temperatures, extreme heat, low visibility, and execute accurately without fatigue. And some of these benefits also play into keeping people safe, whether it be hazardous materials you're moving, or actually situations where you might be under fire and still need to move earth. So we're excited about all of that because it touches every part of construction. It touches mining, and then also national defense.
Yeah. So I'm going to back John up a little bit. So there's nobody at this con. So I'm just going to tell you, autonomous, semi-autonomous is a recurring theme here at the exhibition. Everybody's seeking to get there, but the path forward is really difficult because in many cases you have to have a piece of equipment that is already configured with the right hydraulics to be able to do that. What's unique about this approach, and what John kind of skipped to, is you could take outdated, old, multi-generation old equipment, but now modernize it by not having to change the hydraulics, but instead bringing those hydraulics into a manifold and then let the computer really control the manifold.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. That's a key differentiator. So, in addition to the level 5 autonomy, which is the first of its kind, existing folks have only introduced partial autonomy or remote control. The other thing here that's really exciting is that you don't actually have to buy new equipment. So we're a big believer that you should use your fielded equipment or put older equipment back to use. And one of the ways we make that possible is by designing a hydraulic valve system that actually enables us to control those.
And that's what that device is right down there.
We actually don't have it here today, but the same kit that controls the what we call E over H, or the drive-by-wire newer machines, enables us to control those older ones as well. So it's an additional piece that's not shown here today, but we've done older CAD equipment that's older than me, and made it autonomous as well.
Yeah. So part supply doesn't become a problem because we still got the same parts. The equipment operators who are accustomed to operating, they get the same look, feel, they understand their equipment, but now we are at least bringing it into the current century with a little bit of autonomous, semi-autonomous capability.
I think the key thing to mention is that there's, this isn't going to be an overnight thing where you go from all manual operated to fully autonomous. There's going to be situations where you want someone to jump in with a remote control, or someone to actually hop in the machine and drive it. So it's super important that the familiar controls, namely the same joysticks, the same pedals are still there. We don't want to replace anything with some weird robotic jig. And so even on those old hydraulic machines, if you open that cab, it looks the exact same as it did before we did the install.
Yeah.
And so that's super important to us that everything's familiar so that it doesn't disrupt the operation.
And I got a couple of young soldiers, so Specialist Black, Specialist Lim is coming up here. So from National Guard, currently in construction. So where are you from? What unit are you in? Specialist?
The 116th Engineer Company out of Utah National Guard.
Okay.
And I'm out of the 322nd, out of engineering company out of Sloan, Nevada.
Oh, fantastic. And so both of you are currently, what MOS?
12 November.
12 Novembers, all right? So this is your world, right? You got a chance to kind of hear a little bit about this. What do you think?
For me, I guess the main downside is, it takes me out of the seat, but there's lots of situations which I think that's beneficial. Being in an up-armored piece of equipment, it's hard to see, it's hard to operate anyways. Something like this makes that a whole lot easier. Potentially takes me out of a more dangerous situation, so I definitely like that.
Yeah, and crew management becomes huge on a construction site. You only got so many people. The schedule is such that we've got to get this done. And sometimes there are routine tasks that, frankly, I don't need you in the seat. You're building a berm, and we've got kilometers of that to do in order to build a defensive berm, maybe around a base or around a fuel armor refuel point. This is well suited.
The other thing to mention is that the goal and the vision here is for folks to up level and manage fleets of machines. So no one actually leaves the picture, but the capabilities get increased.
Exactly. So you don't have to have somebody in the seat all the time, but we know that there are times I need you in that seat. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think about the potential here?
Well, I can definitely see the potential. Like with my unit being a reserve unit, it's about finding the right balance. So when we're in missions, you gotta find the balance of getting people stick time, the less experienced operators, as opposed to getting the more experienced operators to move the mission along. I can see it as a benefit with us to where maybe we can get those less experienced operators more stick time, and then at the end just put the autonomous system to use.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm fascinated by it, and the application is well beyond just construction. I mean, we're talking about any piece of equipment that uses predominantly hydraulics. This, at least how you frame the problem.
Well, both. So both EO-Rage and hydraulics. So
Exactly.
yeah, it really any piece of heavy equipment is designed to be general purpose and not just big yellow pieces of earth moving equipment like you're seeing there, but even a demining plow,
Right.
or anything you could imagine that typically is a joystick and some pedals.
And particularly if it is a routine sort of task.
Yeah, that's right.
the sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. Routine tasks in hazardous conditions, sort of high value, that's a sweet spot for us.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you see it already in some construction sites where there are now autonomous and semi-autonomous, and they're talking to each other and they're creating a team. And then you take soldiers who are now managing that site as opposed to being down on the stick. Yeah,
Right.
that's really where you want to get.
And the comment about the stick time was especially interesting too, because in one of these.
Those are operators just want to do it. Is that right or wrong?
That's right. Unless it's up armored. If it's up armored, it's pretty difficult to see and do a good job.
Yeah.
One of the videos coming around in this loop is, you've probably seen it a few times now, is the AIM system actually loading a truck autonomously. And so there's, that's something where I'm sure you guys have both done truck loading to some degree. When you're a junior operator and you're just getting your hours in, that's actually harder to do than it looks, right? There's a lot of coordination to make sure that you're getting your bucket low enough so that your cycle time's low, and it's a full bucket every time, and making sure that you're not overfilling the truck. It's more thought than I think someone who doesn't come from the earth moving world realizes. And so I want to emphasize that, like, while the tasks are repeatable, they're not always easy. And it's especially tough, you know, throwing someone who might not have a lot of hours into those types of situations. So one thing we want to do is allow folks who are, you know, whether they be junior operators to have higher throughput by, you know, the autonomy system actually doing most of the hard work, or senior operators to manage more equipment without the issue of, you know, you need to decide between less productivity and getting someone more hours. There's no more trade-off anymore.
Yeah, and there's also a halfway house to that in that you can provide operator assist functionality. So you could have a junior operator, and when we enable things like collision avoidance, so to avoid collision with the truck, so those are features that can be switched on to sort of be the pilot supervising the junior operator.
And it makes it, although it's going to be expensive, it's not as expensive as buying an entire new fleet. And so that's what I really like about your approach. And you know, hopefully we'll see this come to fruition in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the price thing, I mean, it all fits in that case. It's designed to be, you know, as affordable as possible. You want to get it out into the world doing good work and keeping people safe. So that's why it's not designed as something that takes up this whole booth and sits on the back of a machine and prevents you from transporting it.
Well, good. Well, listen, John, thanks very
Thank
much.
you so
I
much.
appreciate it. Thanks for you guys coming and giving your opinion. And again, this is just this is what the association does. We're making connections. We're having a professional dialogue, and we're getting people like this who know how to solve problems that exist out in the field and taking really, really innovative approaches. We'll see you next time.